certainly. Right now, Kevin's doing that, I'm on one being on Baker's Hill. Which if you happen to be at one, they'll do your budgets for. For both cities, so many other-
Back, and we got one more.
Yeah, there's a list of.
You just bring it together.
In order to stand the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Mayor Newbauer,
Here.
Councilmembers Robinson,
Here.
Rexlow, Vogel,
Here.
Epic, Aaron.
With that, we will entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Vogel, do we have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilmember Robinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, do we have any discussion on the consent agenda before we ask for?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The only thing that I had noticed in the city council minutes for September 3rd, it had a vote in there that I had voted yes on it. And it wasn't. So I had sent an email off, so I'm assuming corrected minutes.
They were, yeah, they're on the website.
Okay,
Correct.
that's-
Yeah, I took your.
that was my.
Okay,
I've got several discussion ones. They're full. But one of them, two of them in particular, B and I, which would be the stall construction and the I. The or the payments J. And the only reason I'm bringing them up is at the last meeting, we discussed, you know, the budget, the proposed budget levy. We talked about how there's no place to trip. We don't know where to come. But under B, under stall, I'm not sure if this is a done deal or not. There's a fire pole for $50,000, fire pole installation for $7,000. And to the best of my knowledge, fire poles are not OSHA approved, and insurance companies don't approve them, so. Could somebody explain to me $57,000 for a fire pole?
Mayor and council, fire poles are still approved. They're not against OSHA regulations. That's how the building was spec'd and designed and operated. So this was a discussion we had, I think, 2 years ago on the design and spec of the building itself. And there hasn't been any changes made since that design was put into place.
So are insurance companies on board with a fire pole?
I would assume, yes.
Mayor and council, correct.
And it's necessary?
Most of our living, all of our day-to-day operations are upstairs of the firehouse. So that would be our quick access down the apparatus.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. So I still question that, but I appreciate the explanation.
Yes,
The other one was J, under payment of claims. And under dog park alone, just for outside contractors, and there may be others. Fence was basically $37,000. Dusty drain cleaning, another $1,200, that's $38,000 just for outside contractors for dog park. And I hesitate to think about how much city staff and time went into seeing all the other expenses on that. And so these are the kind of things that when I keep talking about where to cut expenses. I mean, there's almost, you probably got $100,000 just between those two items that I'm pointing out right now. So that's all I really got to say on that. The other one was I just had a few questions about the upper Rum River watershed, which is D. I'm just curious, is that, are we required by the state to be a part of that?
Mayor and council, we are.
we're required to be a part of it.
And what are our expenses? What do we spend on?
It's, the expenses are rated on the size of the organization in the watershed. Some of the things that we obtained because of being in the Upper Rum River watershed were the Delaware River project. We actually gained significantly more on the backside than we do on the front side, being in that organization. It's a very good deal for us, for the city.
Good, no, thank you.
Mhm.
And then the last one I had was definitely the change order that we discussed at the last meeting. And I understand that it was an omission. And that it doesn't appear that there's any breach back on that, but I'm just curious on future contracts. When we sign a contract with an engineer and they design it, we make a budget for a project based on that contract. If they make an omission, there's no recourse for us. Let's just say it was a $200,000 miss project. And they just say, well, if it was an omission, you would have to do it anyway. I think we should, in future contracts, I think we need to look at omissions as part of, if you make a big omission, we're making budgetary decisions based on that omission.
And bidding no contract.
And bidding on contracts, so I think in future contracts, we've got to look at more closely at specifically omissions. To hold these other contractors responsible. So that's all I've got, thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, can I say something?
Yep.
On the dog park, Mark, that was approved before you came on board. I think we had budgeted approximately $68,000 total. We did a survey with the public, the St. Francis public in general. And they are using the hockey rink as a dog park currently. So as an alternative, again, the citizens have been asking for something. We've tried to make major improvements in our park areas, and it's been a long time since we did anything public-wise that we've been financially able to do. So we, as a council, we allocated the money of $68,000. And again, I was totally for it. That's a valuable piece of property, I believe. But again, it's sitting dormant. It's part of the city park, you know. I'd like to see some concerts in the park down the road or whatever, so the fence can be removed at some point if need be, but the public wanted it. And we tried to deliver what we thought was best for them. There's a large area and a small area. It also includes some watering areas and whatnot, so, it was something that was asked for and wanted, so we did it through the money. Is it frivolous? I don't think so, not when the citizens who are paying for it asked for it. So we allocate some of the money that they give us in taxes to do that, so we're hoping that it pays big dividends down the road, and we've seen no negative impact so far, or responses from the public, but at some point, you gotta give services and entertainment or recreation or activities, the people are, I always consider them our customers, so. But just as a reply to that, that's what happened, again, before your tenure here, just so you know.
Yeah. My own comment, I agree, everything you're saying is true. However, I think it's the council's job sometimes to say no. And especially when you propose a dog park, and did the public know at the time of the dog park that it was $68,000?
It was a public meeting several times and talked about it in work session as well. So it's been in the public eye. We voiced it at these meetings now as we're doing right this minute. Again, with no pushback to this point. Now, when we see the population of dogs grow at the park and people are enjoying it, and there's no problem. We did something good for a change. We always hear the negative, we never get the positive, but it's a piece of property that we paid big money for, and we had it for almost probably over 3 years and it's done nothing with it. So it's better to be that something, a splash pad would have been, I think, $250,000. So we couldn't do that. So we tried to do something, and it wasn't throwing the public a bone, so to speak, but it's something that was asked for, and we looked at, we prioritized what we could do with the resources that we had, the best we could do with the resources in our bag.
That was one of the most wanted, cheapest, that's kind of the way around, so what the public was asking for. Cheaper, but also highly wanted. That's what we ended up with.
And I'm not creating an argument, I'm just trying to use the background.
No, I appreciate the background. I agree what you're saying is true. I just think sometimes we get caught up in. For a dog park, if 5 people show up at a meeting and said they want a dog park.
Yeah.
We get caught up and say, oh my, they want a dog park. But they really represent a very small percentage of our population here.
Sure.
And
We try to encourage more involvement, believe me.
I agree, but
Actually, we did a survey at, a couple events, bigger events, and we had quite a bit of feedback from people. So, and one of the things that they wanted was a dog park and skate park. Those are 2 of the big things they wanted. So it wasn't 5 people showing up to a meeting, it was people out engaged in public. We did surveys. So that it wasn't just 5 people showing up asking for a dog park. We asked people what they wanted, and that's what they told us.
I can honestly say, and I've said it before, and you could call me disengaged, you could call me whatever you want to. I didn't see blue about the dog.
Were you at Nancy Unites?
Is it, was it in the newsletter? With the cost? Saying it's gonna be $68,000, I doubt it. I'll go back to my newsletters and book, but I doubt it. And what do you say to the citizens when there's 10 citizens who show up at the tax hearing saying, now you got 10 citizens saying here, our taxes are going up, like I was there, 15% every single year. And what do you say to that citizens? Well, now citizens are showing up saying, you're saying that you want to respond to the citizens, but 10 citizens show up here, which is a large number, what do you say to them?
But how do we explain the silence to them? They're 10 months out of the year. They come in December when it's in their backyard. And it's the other 10 months that we've begged and pleaded and try to get, point out that, come talk to us.
Last meeting, asked, what do you want? What do you know? What do you
Exactly.
want? Where do you want your money to go?
It's the 10 months of silence that drives me back, it's just crazy. I mean, it really, we do our best.
And that's the reality of it, is just because there are some citizens that are forward and they're loud, doesn't mean they're the majority, it just means that they're loud. And we are hearing from several citizens, you know, on all of those different, St. Francis Facebook, a lot of people are excited for that dog park. Now, is every citizen of St. Francis rushing to the door demanding the dog park? No, but I don't know how many fill out the survey. So again, we have to be mindful that just because they're loud doesn't make them right, and it doesn't make them the majority.
Well, when I got on here too, we were supposed to be focused on, just because one person wants something, we don't change ordinances for it. We've heard it, you know, we've done it a few times, and that's not the right way to go about it. So I mean, sticking firm on that's definitely not a bad thing. The chicken thing, people wanted to have chickens, I've seen a few today that, well, not today, but recently on Facebook that were complaining about the limit of chickens that they can have. And we literally went through a lot of staff time, a lot of meetings talking about the whole chicken situation, and then we ended up with like 2 permits at the time. I think we had 5
Bees.
bees too. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's, to me, I don't know, I usually lean towards less restrictive as long as it's not gonna cause an issue when it comes to ordinances and whatnot, but that's the one thing too you gotta look at. And like you say, we had more than one, I mean, I don't know, 10 to 15 people, I think, that want a community center that I've seen that were vocal about it, but it's like, you do realize that somebody has to pay for that, and where are you gonna get that money? So it's trying to appease people as well as, you know, provide the services that they want in their parks, as well as being affordable at the same time, which is why we ended up on the dog park to begin with, but I'm with you on that.
I mean, to Kevin Chris's point, I'm frustrated as well that we don't have more citizens. Here, input at meetings. Trust me, I am. I'm one of those oddballs who fills up once. But I think a lot of times we take silence as you're doing an okay job. And I don't think that's a fair assumption either, that the silence means good job.
So you know if you're doing an okay job.
You have to balance. So to my point, you know, you're taking care of the dog park, whatever else, but when the citizens come talk about taxes, what are we doing for them? Whether they're allowed or not, or whatever, what are we doing for them? I haven't seen us do anything, because I've seen 15% increases back-to-back years, and it looks like I'll probably see the same kind of increase again.
Well, this is an opportunity, I mean, this is no mean sentiment meant. But 6 years ago, I knocked on 1,000 doors plus, I really truly did. And I hear, that's when I got some feedback, I got more feedback there than I have while I've been in office. So I'm really glad you're here as an advocate and proponent and opponent of different things, because we need that kind of balance. We've never been an all leaning one way place, one way council, even when the other mayor was here. So it's good to have, again, the balance you're talking about, but I hope you take the job that you're running for sincerely and not unpardoned, and see, you're gonna hear people scurry around, and they won't answer their door at all, and you're gonna have people that answer their door, I wanna tell you a ton. So I hope you're embracing it with open arms, because it's been really enlightening, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
And it gets you outside of your circle of influence, so you're talking to a more broader base of individuals within the city of St. Francis, and you're gonna hear a lot of opinions that you just didn't know about.
Bring it back to us and share, that'd be awesome.
Alright. With that, we'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilmember Udvig, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Kraftwell, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting open to the public. There's nobody in the audience. Unfortunately. So we'll move on to new business. Item A, interim ordinance temporary prohibiting the issues of new licenses to sell tobacco products, ordinance 333, emergency interim ordinance temporarily prohibiting the issuance of new licenses to sell tobacco products in the city.
Mayor and Council, before you tonight, this item was brought forward due to a question at our last council meeting for you to consider, and for us to discuss further. There was a question of the number of tobacco licenses, which lead to some of the question with the THC CBD sales and tobacco licenses that exist within establishments, the stores, the gas stations versus those that are standalone. So before you tonight is an interim ordinance. Our legal team shops can definitely help answer questions.
I did have several questions before the meeting started. I was asking, when I first got involved, and this is more towards item B. You know, I really didn't have any questions on the sale of tobacco. I know we have one smoke shop already, and then one that just set up shop next to the school, which is ridiculous. There was a question about, you know, the 1,000 feet, because they have their THC sign, and is it door to door, or are they talking their front door to the elementary school front door to the middle school front door? Is that how they're getting away with this 1,000 feet nonsense? And is my question is, so any new businesses that are coming in that, so if they solely just want to be tobacco, this is gonna create a hindrance for them. So that was my questions were more sort towards B.
So Mayor and Council, just to take note, we have currently 9 tobacco licenses out. Anybody that would be looking at developing, say, a second Quick Trip or some type of establishment that would sell tobacco with their general product, building a building, we don't have any land use applications in place. So right now, this wouldn't be impacting any retail coming in. The ability for somebody to set up a standalone shop, this would put them on notice that we're discussing it. So it would impact any new, but as of right now, we don't even have any new applications discussing with us for even a step. So what this would do is create that notice that there are changes coming. But right now, we don't have anybody looking for a license outside of our existing 9, in which would not be impacted by this one.
Kevin?
I have no question here.
Mark? No questions.
I don't have any questions, I have any.
I have no questions on item A either. With that, we'll entertain a motion to approve, ordinance 333, emergency interim ordinance temporarily prohibiting the issuance of new licenses to sell tobacco products in the city. We have a motion.
So,
Motion by Councilmember Vogel, we have a second.
I'll second here.
Second by Councilmember Robinson, and it's an ordinance, so we'll do roll.
Mayor Remar,
Aye.
Councilmembers Kraftwell, nay, Vogel,
aye.
Ludwig,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Item B, interim ordinance prohibiting the operation of campus business within the city and establishing a study period.
Mayor and council, before tonight is an interim ordinance prohibiting the operation of cannabis businesses and establishing a study period. This one I am going to turn over to Dave.
Go back to Crystal and her questions for door to door and whatnot, whatever else you have.
Yeah, so again, I know there has been some complaints on Facebook about this new business that has gone in next to Subway that is really close to the schools. And I believe that's what's prompting this to come back around again. However, about a year-ish or so ago, when I first got involved, this was on the agenda at that time. My question is, and it was to put in this interim ordinance to establish this study period to do all the things. Now, here we are a year later, and it doesn't feel like we've established that study period. What have we done from then till now that we're now all of a sudden coming back around to, we need to put in this interim? And I know that there's a lot of gray area and the law changed and the Office of Cannabis Accountability hasn't been fully set up yet and all of those things. But what has we as a city done to kind of get ahead of it in this time? That's question one. If you want to go through that.
So Mayor and council, so we weren't able to do much between July and the legislative session this year because we knew changes were coming. What we have been working on is the state, the Office of Cannabis Management has actually released a ordinance for cities to follow. And when we meet the end of October, we're going to answer a few of the questions that we have to decide locally. So we've been working on that ordinance. But until about July, we didn't even have the state final answers on a lot of what was updated through the 2024 legislative session.
So my second question is, would this then hinder our community from selling the edibles and the drinks and whatnot that they've been selling? Because we've been seeing an incredible increase in revenue from that.
They would not change that.
It wouldn't change that at all.
We
So.
just,
Okay.
I would say, in the ordinance language, what is existing would be allowed to stay existing.
Okay.
This is a moratorium process that state law provided that cities can undertake. St. Francis last year chose not to undertake that moratorium. We're bringing this issue up again to the city council to discuss and consider.
So what is here in place now to stay?
Correct.
There is an issue with signage, I think you were looking into.
Right there by the elementary school. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's gonna be tricky because, depending upon, like, you have this big, huge sign over by the high school that really shouldn't be there. You know, if you wanna put some little thing on your building, that's one thing, but this big, huge THC, CBD, you know, with the big old coffee on it, that shouldn't be across the street from our high school. You know, because it's just inviting things in, so I'm all for the THC industry. I think, you know, legalize it, tax it, good revenue for us to spend on more important things in the park. But that was the only questions I had, was how is it gonna affect those if that's already in place now? The 1,000-foot rule. That's all.
On the 1,000-foot rule too, that had to do with, there was a difference I thought between the dosage size too.
Correct. So Mayor and council, we have to remember that there are two sections to the CBD THC. There's the low dose and then there's the higher dose. With the low dose, they do not hold the same distance requirements. And even with the signage, we can regulate the size of the signs, the location, the amount on a storefront, but we can't necessarily regulate what is on their sign. So by having that 1,000-foot rule, it would, for the high dose, it would keep those signs away from our school to have, other than that, there isn't a way to keep those signs from us because all we can regulate is the size. So So with the low dose, they could still be there, but if they're anticipating going to the higher dose, then they would have to locate at a distance which that is set forth in our ordinance when we release that in January.
Can I ask about low?
Yeah.
For the low dose, what is that distance?
There's not.
There's none.
There's not, it's handled by.
Oh, you.
Which is,
Okay.
which is why us, like I said, at the last meeting, I took responsibility for my part, and said, it's not existing. The state got it through, of course, that's on me too, but, where I thought, it's, we're doubling up on the same law, why do that, that's dumb. Well, that's why, because they didn't regulate those things.
Okay, thank you.
Misunderstanding, at least on my part and all that, disappointed not listening to that. So, Kevin, what do you got?
I'm gonna go at least the curveball. Have you been involved, do you guys spot check stuff like that, and is Anoka County sponsor, and with what intervals do they sponsor where you guys not do a same situation, but just a test of the system, so to speak, if you can enlighten us a
We
little?
do compliance checks similar to how we do tobacco and alcohol. So right now we do them in the fall and they are coming up for all of our establishments, including the ones mentioned. So we will make sure they're selling the proper, or not selling the improper, content, make sure the labeling is correct, make sure they're not selling to people underage, things like that. So, yeah, so we are doing compliance checks. And that's about all of our involvement right now. If we do observe one of these institutions, selling products they shouldn't be selling, we will be reporting that to the Office of Cannabis Management. That's what the state recommends. And then they will do some follow-up checks, or so they say. And I know they have done that around Metro, and have removed and dinged a number of establishments throughout the Metro for selling things that they shouldn't be selling, so.
Have they done it with an imposter, so to speak, or an underage looking person, and have you been involved in anything like that, or a city been involved, or now that at least the establishments are being more prevalent?
Yeah, so we're just beginning to get involved in right now the low dose or the hemp derived cannabis. So that's beginning stages, that's fairly new, so we are just getting in the beginning stages of doing compliance checks for those establishments. But yes, we will be using individuals to go in and conduct sales and make sure that part of the compliance check, make sure that they're not selling and checking IDs and things like that. They're supposed to be doing according to state law, so.
You do that in conjunction with the county sheriff or a different agency?
No, we do that all in-house.
You do, excellent. All right, thank you, thanks for letting me be on the spot.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, with that, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Specific to this moratorium, this will go to the next meeting because under state law, when they changed the law in this last session, they added a public hearing requirement
Okay.
for cannabis moratoriums. That's different than the tobacco one. So this one has to be continued to the next meeting for the public hearing and then potential passage.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue, item B, interim ordinance 334. Do we have a motion?
I make that motion.
Motion by Councilmember Robinson, do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Edvig, and I don't need a roll call then to do that.
They just voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second meeting open to the public. Absolutely nobody in the audience. Council member reports, we'll start with Nick. Sure.
I attended the Mr. Prairie groundbreaking on Wednesday. It was a very warm event, but it was fun. It was great to have, the development team and everybody, from Mr. Prairie here. Got to meet some faces that we hear names, but we don't necessarily see faces, so it was a really good.
Yep.
I also attended the groundbreaking, or official groundbreaking, and noticed at least 4 couples that are of senior age and live in our community, and they're checking the place out. The project is also worth approximately $48 million, that's correct, not 35 as originally talked about. And again, some of that is due to the cost of material and labor went up since they were talking about this 2 years ago, so, but it's still, I welcome them with, open arms, and they seem like really sincere, good people, that got some good backing, and it's, quite a boon for our town, and we're having a little interaction with the CEO, and he said, we've done our homework, so they know, whether you're a rural resident now or an in-town resident, evolution takes place, and they'll be ready to serve our public, those who want to. So, that's all.
I myself attended the Vista Prairie groundbreaking, and this morning myself and Kate and myself, I should say, properly. Met with our representative for the Met Council, so it was nice to actually see them. I don't think I've seen the representative since I've been in office, so we had a good chat, got to know them. They seem like they sincerely want to work with us, so we'll see how that goes. Other than that, I have nothing else. With that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, mention two things, Mayor, on the public, the recycling event this week, this Saturday, 8 to noon, and Paul, any additions, we have the oil filters, and we have oil drop, grain oil drop.
Right.
And then the usual electronics and steel and leaves and, as far as organic, leaves is the only thing, if you had anything this time of year, probably not much.
Yeah, Mayor Council, we're still waiting for a permit from, Anoka County to finish the compost, so
Okay.
we're getting there, slowly but surely.
But the usual suspects, tires and whatnot, so,
Yes.
it's on our website for sure, so look at that, and those guys do an excellent job on that. And then adding the Eagle Class 530 on the 24th, Chief, can you give us a quick little background on that again?
Well, unfortunately, that is canceled this year.
Okay.
I didn't catch it in time to get it not put in here, but, we hope to hold it next year. We're just trying to get back with full staffing this year. I think that was our focus. Just kind of wore everybody out. We lost track of this one, but, it's a great program. It's a great class for youth to learn about firearms and what to do to come upon a firearm and where to report it, how to report it, things like that. And we're looking for somebody to actually get inside this Eagle costume because our previous one is no longer interested, so. But it's a great class and we do hope to put it on next year, just gotta wait this year, so.
You need to use that,
I will.
Oh, yeah. And then, Jessica, the Park Beach cutting ceremony, 5:30, anything the public should know extra about that, other than be there, be square?
No, that's all, and the last day of the farmer's market. So hopefully we'll get the traffic from the farmer's market to come over and help celebrate the leash cutting.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks, Mayor, for letting me
No,
chime
absolutely.
in.
With that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilmember Crackwell, do we have a second?
Second.
And by Councilmember Vogel, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, meeting adjourned. 32. Yeah.